And as I say, Sam Armstrong is here to discuss all of it too. Let me read out and all the bits before we get going, because I have a feeling we're going to go hammer and he walked into the office. First thing I said was, "Where are you on Gregg Wallace?" And I was quite surprised by the response. But Gregg Wallace was hit out at a certain age. This is how he responded to complaints about his inappropriate behaviour from more and more women have come forward, many anonymous, many by name, some in case their husbands, like Rod Stewart, for his wife Penny, have come forward. I want to know what your reaction. What people are saying, he's victim blame, he's blaming the women. Some people say, well, you know, people like me, Karens, basically, as Americans call them, just sort of, you know, make a joke. It's just an office banter, love. What's the problem? Oh, I used love. That's bad. Now, I want to know what your reaction is, because mine has changed Thursday. This first came out. I want to hear what you think. Give us a call. 03499. Text on 87222. Text talkTV cost are charged at the national rate plus one standard network rate message. Don't forget, of course, about 8 topics we're talking about. Always great to hear from you. So, Sam, here's the thing. Thursday, first sort of pay attention to these claims about Gregg Wallace. Turns out there are 13 women, apparently all, you know, middle-class women, who had spoken out about Gregg Wallace, and inappropriate language, sexual banter, talk about sex acts. Some was some touching, sexual harassment, just inappropriate, and stuff happening in front of senior producers, in front of cabin crew, in front of the too often I travel, and women being made feel uncomfortable. What a surprise, as is always the case, even though this is produced by a independent Manager UK. People have complained to those producers. It's MasterChef show. It's on the BBC. People have complained to the BBC. The BBC here was told 4 times, and as early as 2012, his behaviour was inappropriate. It was unacceptable. It might have been acceptable on the factory floor in 1975, but it ain't acceptable in this day and age in a TV studio, especially, by the way, in a production company who put on their website how much they welcome diversity and difference and celebrate it. I don't want people's careers being over when they haven't committed a crime. I'm not one of those. I don't want people cancelled saying the wrong thing to one person. When this many women come forward of many different ages and say his behaviour was creepy, it was inappropriate, there was groping, there was sexual harassment, it was a miming of a sex act, you know, with a young junior, you know, contestant. I mean, just women absolutely horrified by his behaviour. When women have complained again and again, and it's all on record, and nothing is done, something is horribly wrong. And I'm sorry, you don't get to behave like that in this day and age. He has to be gone.
Okay, well, we disagree. It's not normal, but we do on this one. Firstly, let's delineate between a couple of the allegations.
Yeah.
So I think there are 2 allegations here. One is that he groped a cameraman, but this is or camera assistant, but this is an allegation made by somebody else who says, Emma Kennedy, who said this, who is one of the main people on Twitter, but that's not to say that she's not telling the truth here, says she groped somebody else. He groped somebody else, but that person hasn't made a complaint. And there's another one that... Well,
someone, a junior woman on the production of a show where he is the big star, not making a complaint. I'm not surprised by that.
Well, there is another one. There is another allegation I think is probably the most serious, which is former staff member told the BBC that Wallace showed her topless pictures of himself. I mean, that is a bit gross. Looking at him, and begged her for massages. Obviously, that does.
No, but also just constantly talking about sex.
Well, but okay,
posting about threesomes with sex workers, talking about loving spanking, and one genuinely her head bent down to pick something up, and his crotch was where her head was, and he mimed her performing a sex act.
Come on. Let's get into the
workplace.
Let's get into the quote-unquote sexual marks, right? They weren't exactly a secret, to say the very least, right? He was saying them on air.
Yeah.
There was constant innuendo. Some of it, Julia, some of it was quite funny, right?
Mel and Sue get away with it on
exactly
Bake Off for years.
People tittered, people laughed. And look, I'm afraid that, like, sexual innuendo is not everybody's cup of tea. There are plenty of people that don't like it. There are millions of people that do like it, do enjoy it on the television, makes think it's a bit funny, gives them a bit of joy. Have we now reached the point? Have we now reached the point in which we say no? One, not a single innuendo remark is permissible at any point on any
and I
television
don't want to get to
station.
that point.
Well, but some of the allegations, these quote-unquote 13 out of, it should be said, 40,000 contestants over 17 years, some of these 13 remarks are for things that are, frankly, you may are quote-unquote borderline, but some of them seem to me to be well within the scope of what, you know, people have been saying on British television for many, many years.
OK, but we know the Benny Hill show isn't on anymore for a reason.
OK, but when was there this vote, right, Julia? When was there this vote? When did Parliament sit there and say, right, no, we're going to redraw the new... God's sake. Redraw the new lines. This is what is acceptable. This is what is not acceptable.
Here's the thing. He's playing this game that it's like, well, it's middle-class women of a certain age. It's like, you know, aged women basically, and they're birds, and they can't take a joke. Well, I'm supposedly a posh bird, and I can take a joke, and I give a joke. I love banter. I don't want. One of the reasons why I went into newspapers was because I'd rather work in an office where people effed and blind, and it was fun, and it was. I mean, you're not allowed to do that anymore, but my God, it was fun while it was allowed to last, rather than being in the city or something like that, where everyone was on best behaviour. I don't like that. I think everyone knows when they've crossed the line or not. I'm married to a working class player. He's playing the working class thing. I'm married to a working class player. He doesn't behave like that. Never has behaved like that with a woman. It's when there's a power dynamic. There's a difference between a bit of banter between mates in the pub, in the workplace where there's not a power dynamic. You are the multimillionaire star, and they're junior women or women who you are helping to judge whether they're going to win a contest which will like change their life and mean they can start a new career. Junior female employees working in the cameras, you know, team or an assistant, and you have that power. You don't behave like that. You know, my boss doesn't behave like that. My guess, your boss doesn't behave like that. Most people don't behave like that because you're in a position of power. You don't do it.
Well, look,
and he knows it. It's not fun. It's a power move. It's an exercise. This is the thing women learn over the years. This is an exercise of power by men. It's exactly the same as the men who come up to you in a bar, and yes, this did used to happen to me in my younger days, and they come to you and they go, oh, do you want a drink, darling? And you very politely, because you're with your mate, say, oh, thank you very much, but actually we're just having a girls' night, but I much appreciate it, because you're not interested. And you say, and then they go, what are you, a lesbian? And then they start you every name under the sun. At which point, of course, I don't take it. I get them thrown out to it and have police call the police. I won't put up with that. But this is what women have had forever. Yeah. And now women are going, yeah, I don't think so anymore. This is my workplace too, and I don't have to put up with it. OK, so you say, but look, neither of us were there. Neither of us know what happened, and we are each... We appear to be witnessing everything.
We are each... ourselves judging this, and I think, frankly, people who were there watching this, projecting our life experiences, those bad times into a bar, into what somebody else is doing. We don't know for a moment what was going through Gregg Wallace's head when he said those things. Oh,
now that's different. OK, so you're saying he doesn't mean it in
I'm saying we don't know. He may not mean it. You've got no evidence. You've got no evidence. You've got no evidence to substantiate this,
We know that he has had senior meetings. That's it. It's all documented. He's had meetings. He has been, you know, you have an 80-minute meeting with your boss after a plate, mate. Being told in no uncertain terms, stop it, right? They don't stop it. He's been told not to do it. Now, whether he's going, even if he's been doing it, he's literally, I had no idea why these women are offended. So what? Stop doing it.
OK, right. Let's get...
I'm not an innocent in terms of I'm not like perfectly behaved in the office, but you know when someone tells you that upsets them, stop doing it.
Let's be clear. These are 13 allegations over a 17-year period, right? It is not every day. It is not every we just don't it's just not right. We're learning about it all now. But this goes back to 2005.
40,000 contestants, half of whom would have been men who therefore weren't getting sexually harassed.
All right, so 20,000 women. Let's just say
most people don't complain.
Right.
Most don't say anything.
But what you're saying is, right, that there is a pattern, a culture that is for a very long time unacceptable. Yeah. I would agree with you. And I dare say that I haven't ever made a remark like that's going to give rise to something like this.
Why not? It's just bad.
Because it's my personal personality.
Because you know it would make women feel uncomfortable.
But look, we all knew that Gregg Wallace's persona...
I've got to be honest. Been a big part of my life, so I don't watch MasterChef. He just seems to me to be just a boorish bloke. I've just got no interest in him.
Yes, but plenty of people find boorish blokes entertaining, to be livening.
I like Boorish books. I love boorish comedy. I'm just saying.
I dare say that given he's been married 4 times, there's even some women
they get
that
younger
find him...
and younger and younger as well.
Okay. Again, are we going to make a law against it? Look, I'm not saying
I'm saying you might have a problem with the sort of women who've complained about him.
I'm not saying that this is a guy that I like, that I'm personally fond of, that indeed I would enjoy spending an evening with. However, what I am saying is what you've got is you've got, in my view, one allegation that deserves really significant investigation.
There are more than that.
Which is one allegation from one member of staff that has said something absolutely should be investigated, properly investigated. If he has sexually harassed even one junior member of staff, he should be out. What I happen will happen. I'm not prepared to see a lot of things that happen, but what I really like is the idea that individual person can be brought down by a bunch of allegations that don't meet a test.
I agree with you.
Don't meet probably an employment test. And what we've seen here is a small number of individuals have made allegations to Sky News in the first place, and then a number of other individuals have jumped on, piled on. I make no particular aspersion.
I agree with you. I don't want people, and I said this on Thursday. I want to know more detail. Again, a bit of banter. He apologises. He doesn't anymore. I think even for the one harassment, if he genuinely is like, okay, that wasn't what I meant. I was complete apology. I think warn. I really do. I really don't want people cancelled for stuff that they don't intend. I think he knows perfectly well what he's doing, and I think he's been warned. And I think back on the producers, the band, and massively also on the BBC who knew. And this is the thing. Whether it's, the GMA Savills, what do you think? The Rolf Harrises, Hugh Edwards, Mark Page, Chris Denning, all of whom gone to jail or died, or we know that they committed horrible. We've got only allegations, and it's very important to stress that, against the likes of DJ Tim Westwood and also the TV presenter. I really... Allegations of crimes. Well, actually roping a woman is actually a crime. I hate to tell you, Sam.
Well, but the camera assistant in question has made no allegations. No, she hasn't. Somebody else.
And I'm not saying I'm not accused of that person of a crime. Here's the thing. Again, it's an abject failure by management, BBC, and to oversight from the production company to actually deal with this, to actually take on the issue, take women's concerns seriously about what behaviour they do and don't find acceptable anymore. And I don't think this is women not taking banter. Trust me, issue with the banter. See my WhatsApp group. I've got no issue. I think I defended. My initial reaction was to defend him, because once you see the range of allegations, range of things, I'm sorry. I think the evidence is mounting. I'm happy for him to mount a defence. I'm happy to hear both sides. I just think right now it sounds like things have not been done right. But I want to hear from you. Give us a call. I can already see some calls coming in where people are agreeing or disagreeing with what I have to say. I've got a funny feeling on Sam's side today. I was on Thursday, but I read more about it. Give us a call. Is the number to call. To get your texts and your tweets as well. We've got to go in a moment, but let me just quickly get Biden pardoning Hunter, his son, and not just for the 2 convictions that he's going to be sentenced on this month. He does technically face 25 years in jail. No one thinks that for the level of crime in terms of lying on the gun form. Oh God, I forgot what the other one was. But I mean, tax fraud. I mean, small point. Didn't pay quite a lot of money, over $1 million in tax. But it's also been pardoned for any act from 2014 on. Quite extraordinary. He's clearly expecting that Donald Trump is going to, as in his view, persecute his son. I think Hunter Biden was done bang to rights, was not prosecuted because he was a Democrat president and vice president's son. I think the Bidens are up to their eyeballs in wrongdoing over the years. But I'm just absolutely staggered by him doing this. He said he wouldn't do it. White House said only a week ago he wouldn't do it. I think it's fair to call him out. But by the way, not the first and not the last president who will pardon a family member. But this is a system that is rotten to the core. Yeah,
the gross hypocrisy from Joe Biden is what shines forth the most. Like this, we were told that the Democrats were so much more virtuous, so much more bound by the spirit of government and public service, Republicans, yeah, pull the other one. However, what I would say is, actually, it's a sad indictment overall of American criminal justice, which I think has got to the point where each and every new administration is going to come in and start investigating their predecessors or their predecessors' family members, using the criminal justice system as a weapon. I think Joe Biden and the Democrats did it to Republicans.
Yeah.
I think the Republicans are going to do it to Democrats.
Yep.
And then when the next lot come in, they're going to go back and immediately pardon everyone else. That is not a criminal justice system. That is a tin pot dictatorship style of
Well,
antics.
they make such a big deal about how we're no longer ruled by, a king or a queen. Yeah, I mean, this is medieval court stuff.
It absolutely is. And it is a shame because actually it denigrates the entire American justice system for everyone that's involved. Anyone, I think, prosecuted in America can reasonably put their hands up. This system is broken, this system is corrupt. I think that's wrong. I think it's a shame, and I think Joe Biden's responsible. Yeah,
absolutely. I just appalling. I mean, it really is. I mean, again, they are exactly what they accuse everyone else of, and they don't pretend to anymore. Just finally, also, we're expecting figures this morning that will confirm that we've now seen more than 20,000 migrants crossing the Channel. Starmer became Prime Minister on July the 5th. I did expect more crossings in July and August and September. There hadn't actually been any for 2 weeks because of the rough weather. But we're now basically, but no one expected the gangs to be smashed this quickly. But they said they had a plan. It doesn't look like it's. But we also know the Prime Minister is going to do a big speech on Thursday, and he's going to be talking about his targets. And there was a lot of language. I mean, from Pat McFadden, his most senior cabinet minister, really unofficially, the man who runs the show behind the scenes. I mean, he was just talking absolute gobbledygook Whitehall speak about targets and things like that. But basically, they're going to talk about the 5 priorities, none of which is dealing with either legal or illegal migration on Thursday. Extraordinary. They're totally and utterly ignoring the concerns of the British people.
I think after Rishi Sunak made stopping the boats one of his 5 priorities, politicians have learnt that it's not even worth making the promise because they know they're never going to deliver. Yeah. But look, Keir Starmer did say he was going to smash the gangs. He's got MI5, he's got the National Crime Agency, going to do it any day now. They're all going to stop.
Fingers crossed!
No, they're not. Politicians lying to you. They're lying to you deliberately because they think you are too stupid to realise that they never have any intention of doing what they all know and recognise they need to do, which is to suspend human rights for those coming across illegally, to return them either to their home country or a safe third country or back to France. They ain't going to do it. They're not prepared to do it because it would cause too many headaches in party circles. So the boats are going to keep coming, the politicians are going to keep lying, and you're going to keep getting betrayed.
Absolutely. I mean, how they managed to... It doesn't matter how many times we tell them at the ballot. Again, I've been saying this to both Labour and the Tories for years. If you don't deal with this, voters will find someone else who will, and that is what they are doing. And we see that across Europe, and we can see it in America. I don't know why they can't see this. This is staring them front and centre.